Are you going to meeting?
John's that your bike behind you?
I wish.
Well, you've really fixed up the Millinocket office. I like that setting you've got there.
I was just gonna say the same, Charlie.
Yeah, we don't even have the COVID money yet, and we've already.
Yeah, it's really getting comfy in here.
Can you guys hear me okay?
Did you hear that,
Yes.
Diana?
Yes.
All right.
I heard something, but I didn't, I was away.
Well, you're signed in as the Millinocket office, and I said, I didn't realize you'd done that into your office.
Oh, yes, I should probably just do a close-up, huh?
It's just a backdrop, right?
We've got dogs.
You'll get mine excited, and then we'll really have a noise.
All right, it's 5:01 here. So I'm just gonna get started here. If I can get a roll call, please.
The workshop, I typically am not there.
All right. Yep.
So, I mean,
I'm
I'm
happy to do it.
here for department head. I wasn't sure if you still roll call or not.
I would be happy to do it. Counselor Prey,
Here,
Counselor Pelletier,
Here.
Counselor Madore,
Here.
Counselor Bragdon,
Present.
Counselor Danforth,
Here.
Counselor McEwen,
Here.
Counselor Pelletier.
I'm still here.
Oh, excuse me. Chair Gully's here. We also have our town manager. So welcome everyone to our ARPA funds workshop. We had talked about this at a previous meeting or two where we just wanted to have some open discussions on off council weeks on what the plans might be for the use of these ARPA funds. Just to reiterate, I know it was posted in a few locations that we are not accepting right now any formal requests for funds. This is more of a discussion of the process and how we would like to move forward as a council in the use of the funds. We could discuss things such as an RFP process or specific organizations later on. But right now, it's basically for us to all get on the same page and have an open discussion that community can certainly have an input on and have, you can weigh in and share your thoughts, just not a request for funds at this time, please. So with that, I would like to open it up to the council. I know that Councilor Prey and Danforth, you've both shared some of the more recent publications of how these funds could be used. And I suggest that we get that posted on our website just for public consumption, so people can know exactly firsthand what the funds could be used for. We can maybe create a one-pager or so on how it would apply locally. But I would like to open it up to the council if there's any initial thoughts on the process, how we'd like to move forward, or anything of that nature. Councilor Prey?
thank you, Mr. Chairman. Obviously, process, I think we should try to get the county director to come up or meet with you, the manager and you, and maybe a couple of councilors to talk about how the county's process is set up, so we could kind of duplicate it. For example, you mentioned RFPs and stuff like that. I do think that anybody that's asking for money should give the explanation to make sure that we understand that they're meeting all the guidelines, and we should set up a protocol how those funds are recaptured if they don't spend it, or if they go out of what would be qualified or accepted as qualified expenditures. I don't think we need to reinvent the wheel where they've hired 2 individuals to handle the county funds. Just to get that outline of process, I think would be beneficial for us to all kind of stay on the same page.
Thank you, Councilor Prey. Any other council comment on that? Councilor Danforth?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I would agree with Councilor Prey. The county does have a process they're going through. I'm not sure that we need like the formal RFP process, but certainly an application outline and description and lots of detail. These are federal funds, and I know even the municipality, we need to report on them. So there's a lot of reporting guidelines. So we need to be really careful about that. But I think also to have the county, the director or the commissioners to come back, it'd be good to know what they're looking at funding, because there might be things that from the municipality or some of the organizations locally that might be the county funds might be the more appropriate way of ask if it's in a regional ask. So I think we got a little bit of figuring out to do. So I think working with the county is probably a good, or meeting with the county again is a good starting point too.
Thank you, Councilor Danforth. Any other council comment? Councilor Madore? I'm assuming you're trying to find your mute button there.
Yes, I am.
You got it.
Finally. Yeah, I just think that I would be remiss to say that I agree that we should go ahead and try to work with the county commissioners on the process. But I would like to see and make sure, because this is federal money, that we do an application process for any allocation of funds, a detailed application. I would want to make sure that all information that is necessary, so this doesn't come back on us, because I do believe that if we do this improperly or with haste or don't get all our ducks in a row, we may be responsible for replacing the monies if it's inappropriately done. So I would look for an RFP or possibly detailed applications moving forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Madore. Any other council thought? Mr. Manager, you're certainly welcome to weigh in as well. Councilor McEwen?
I have thank you for Mr. Chairman. That summary that was posted out by fellow Councilor Danforth and Prey is very useful. Just skimming through it, you can see that there's a large variety of categories that are eligible for the expense, which really leans into what's already been said in both rights, that one, having this posted for public consumption as well will give those who are looking to submit an application or an RFP, if you will, to us, to know what the guidelines are going to be and what we would be looking for when we're looking to prioritize those applications themselves. Given out of the, I guess, proportion of funds that are distributed to communities, I would think ours is in probably like a lesser batch comparative. So the threshold for like, I guess, putting in extra documentation and just extra provisions, once you get over like $1 million cap, I saw in certain categories for like capital expenditures, there's definitely more regulations and stipulations. So I think as long as we have proper financials and those that can really back up their need and want for funds appropriately, we should have a smooth process. But I agree with what's been said in both rights, that getting this out for public consumption, this summary here, and having an application process that's detailed so we can track funds appropriately and prioritize those funds as we see fit would be good. So thank you.
Thank you, Councilor McEwen. And just to add to that, I know a few of you have mentioned speaking to the county. I know that our manager has begun reaching out to some of the other towns, neighboring towns, to see if there's any areas that they might be interested in coordinating some of these funds to kind of leverage them for either regional tri-town purposes or to leverage them for, you know, larger projects if it comes down to potentially putting, for example, a match for a larger fund from another organization or so forth. So I know that, Mr. Manager, you can speak to that. I know you just barely reached out to them, but feel free to speak to that.
Well, thank you, Mr. Chairman. We haven't gone into much detail there yet, but the invite to explore those options was sent out and, received with welcoming arms. So I think we do have an opportunity there to pull portions of this funding together to do something more regional or to support something regional. I don't want to lose track of the amount of money that it is. We're talking about a couple $100,000 in comparison to what the county is handling, which is, upwards of 30 million. So the funding that we have locally is going to be, that'll go pretty fast in comparison. So, when we're looking at how to spend it or where to spend it or with the applications, we certainly have to keep that in mind.
Thank you, Mr. Manager. Any other council comment? Councilor Danforth?
Yeah, yes, Mr. Chairman. So I know the manager and I spoke a little bit this afternoon about this, and there's lots of pots of money out there. So that's why I think we need to take our time and figure out which ones to go after, because our municipal funds can't match the 29.5 million that the county funds have available and potential for us to put a application in. And so I just want to remind you some of the deadlines. So we have until December 31st of 2024 to obligate any funds. And then the funds must be expended by December 31st of 2026. So while I know people want the money now and we want to move on it, and I don't want to say we're not in a hurry, we want to do this appropriately. And funds can be used for costs incurred on or before March 3rd. So backdating stuff. So if there's anything applicable for the town, they needed to look back at. So process wise, we don't have to be in a hurry, but I know we need a process and we need a due diligence and reach out to the county and to our municipal neighbors.
Thank you, Councilor Danforth.
And so
Any other?
One other thought, because I know there was an announcement about broadband for our area. So that's one of the areas that our money can be spent on, but we don't have to spend it on it, right? Because that's taken care of from the recent broadband initiative, and maybe Charlie can speak to that. So those are things that we need to have a running list of what's already coming our way, so we're not using these funds when we don't need to, if there's other funds that are available to us.
Thank you, Councilor Danforth. We did start a running list somewhat earlier on in this process. I can try and revive that and have that available for a next meeting. But yes, having a running list of those priorities, I think, is certainly a good way to organize this moving forward. Are there any other council comments? Yes, Councilor Prey, then Mr. Manager.
Well, yeah, we told everybody to send that to the acting manager, and Richard did put out that list, which I have a copy of it here. And I don't know if anything came in after that. Obviously, once we post some of that stuff, and I think we need to give people a timeline as to when we need that by the end of February or something like that. Anybody that's going to be making an application So that we should get the form and everything done as quickly as possible so they can make at least a preliminary application.
Thank you, Councilor Prey. Mr. Manager?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I was just going to mention that I was able to locate that list here that was started with Richard. So I do have that available and can send it out.
Thank you. Just wanted to open this up to the public for a little bit as well. If anyone from the public would like to weigh in. Yes, Richard Ngati, your hand up.
Yeah, I thank you for allowing me. Richard Ngati, 222 Katahdin Avenue. I'll turn my video on here if I can. No. The list and all of this information, could you set it up on the town's website on a tab of its own, all of the information that you're proposing, so that the public can see it all at one common spot? That way there, you know, we can look at everything that you guys are putting out there and be able to formulate questions as well by having them on that one spot on the website. Because if you bounce all around the place, then people are going to get lost. So it's important to have
Thank
all
you.
that information in one spot.
Thank you for that feedback. That's certainly helpful. Mr. Raymond, your hand's up.
Yes, Chairman Goli, John Raymond, 236 Highland Avenue. I would be very interested in either the RFP or the application when the time comes. And am I correct in what I heard is that some of these funds could be used as a match with some of the county funds, or is there a list of that I could find where the uses of these funds could be used for?
It was a suggestion that I just came up with. I'm not sure on the process myself. I haven't read through the whole document. That use that you just referenced, though, we can post that document online so we're all familiar with that. The public will have that. And per Richard Ngati's suggestion, I think it is a good idea to have that all in one spot. So we can see about having a certain section on the website where everything ARPA related will be, and that'll certainly be there.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other public comment? Richard? I see you talking, but I can't hear you.
Hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. When it comes to broadband, don't rule out having to have some money for that. And the other side of that is when you say you're going to have a process in which to apply for it, what about the town? In that is monies for infrastructure like wastewater and stormwater runoff infrastructure that would be also a part of that. Also, the fact that we had at one time had talked about giving the employees a payment to, having worked through COVID, that they were going to get a stipend payment as well. How would you take that and put that into effect? Thank you.
Thank you, Richard. Any comment from the council on that? And just a reminder to everyone, if you are not speaking, if you could please mute your microphones. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, Diana has her hand up here.
Yes, Diana. Sorry, just seeing that. Can't really hear you, Diana. Could you speak into it a little, get closer to the mic or something?
Sure. Can you hear me better now?
Yes, much better.
I was just, when the application does become available, I'm assuming it will be available online along with all the other ARPA information, as well as a hard copy in the town office. So in case if somebody does to come in person, that would be available in person as well. And maybe it wouldn't hurt to have a copy, paper copies to hand out as well if it's requested. So once that is available, if that just information is submitted to me, then I can go ahead and hard copy that for people that don't have access to online services.
Those are great suggestions, Diana. I'll make sure that those copies get sent to you.
Sure.
Thank you. I do see a comment in the chat from Sandra Sullivan. I'm very against giving payments to any employees unless you include every person who worked in Millinocket through the pandemic, medical people, supermarket employees, postal workers, etc. Thank you, Sandra, for your comment. Any other public comment? Seeing none, I'll just go back to the councilor. Any council thoughts on this? Councilor Prey?
Thank you. I would hope that the manager would ask each of the departments if they have specific needs unrelated to Millinocket. I was talking to another community and it came up, a subject came up that is a topic we deal with in Millinocket when Tom gives us a report of the ambulance service having to go out and give a lift assist. A neighboring town, well, Penobscot County, but further south, they're buying a lift assist piece of equipment for their ambulance service. Tom, would that help in some of this instances where we've been talking about trying to get lift assist?
I'm not sure what they're buying, Charlie. We have stair chairs. In fact, I bought, we always had one. I bought another one last year. I was fortunate enough to make a deal with East Millinocket because they had a bunch when they got rid of some of their ambulances. But as far as a lift assist, no, that the biggest thing there is just having the two people to do it, two or more people to do it. That's really what that is. But if I could lead on, if I could lead on to that a minute, just to bring it, to remind you that during budgets last year, we talked about we need to do something to set up to have materials available. We got very fortunate this time with the pandemic that we had some stuff on hand. There were communities that didn't have anything on hand and really got behind the 8 ball. We were fortunate enough to have some, and we were able to get some from the county and from the state. But we really need to look at setting something up for that as a wellness type, health wellness, whatever we want to call it, fund that we can have to buy those materials. I took money out of my budget last year. I am taking money out of my budget this year to keep all the departments in the material they need. So I just ask you to please consider that as we move forward with this. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief. Thank you, Councilor Prey. Councilor Bragdon?
I don't know if it's best suited now to ask or if I should wait till when we move further on, but I wanted to ask Tom, I know COVID kind of was a damper on things and everything's kind of overpriced right now, but approximately how much money do you think is needed for an emergency fund after seeing what we've gone through?
When I initially had thought about that, Councilor Bragdon, I had thought we should put $10,000 or $15,000 aside just for that avenue in case we need, in case we need it. I got fortunate enough to get some materials again from Penobscot County EMA, had some stuff that FEMA had given them, and they called one day, and if you wanted some, to put a list in and come get it. I was fortunate enough to get some of that, so that's helped us too. But I'm just thinking that we need to we need to be thinking of that down the road. That was my only concerns. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chief and Councilor Bragdon. Just noting, Ada and Gotti asked in chat, did Millinocket School Department personnel get a bonus during COVID? And manager said yes, that they did. Any other council comment? Councilor Madore?
Yeah, earlier, we had a comment that they were against payments to any employees unless you include every person who worked in Millinocket through the pandemic. Unfortunately, the town is only, it can only be responsible for the benefits for those employees that work for the town of Millinocket. You've already heard that the school got a benefit during COVID so far. I know that the local supermarket in Hannaford lifted the hourly wage for their personnel to work during COVID early. So there is other avenues, there are other places out there, and we're not necessarily responsible for corporate America and their desire to go ahead and give. So I don't want to really limit the fact of maybe being able to go ahead and show our consideration for our municipal employees, public works, fire, that ambulance and so on, that have worked during the pandemic and done it faithfully right along under amazing circumstances. So I don't want to lose that option, and I don't want to see necessarily the town employees be penalized because somebody from another corporate organization didn't see fit to go ahead and take care of their employees during the pandemic. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Councilor Madore. And on that note, Ada and Gotti followed up. Did any other town of Millinocket employees get a COVID bonus in appreciation of the hard work all the staff have done during these trying times? Would be very nice. We have not given COVID bonuses with the ARPA funds, no. Any other council comment?
Mr. Chairman.
My screen is frozen. Yes, Councilor Prey.
Yeah, along that, I don't really want to get into the topic of discussion of things. That was one of the items that was on the list to talk about employee bonuses for working through it. And I would just say, one, we hadn't gotten the funds at that point in time when we started putting that list together. And we said that everything would be put off until we did this series of workshops and moving forward with recommendations. So no employees received anything yet because the council hasn't addressed it. And it is an item that will be on the council agenda when we get to making decisions, just so that we don't have a whole series of people weighing in on that issue.
Thank you, Councilor Prey. Good point. Any other council comment?
Mr. Chairman.
Yes, Councilor Danforth, you were frozen on my screen.
Along the lines that there is a list that was started. And before, I think, Mr. Manager, before you go and post it, that we need to refine that list and take out the things that aren't eligible based on what we know the criteria, because I know it was a very broad list, a wish list. So I think we should look at that and narrow it down to things that are appropriate or that potentially could be funded through these funds, not everything that was listed on there. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Danforth. Any other council comment? And any other members of the public? Sandra, I do see your response here. I'll read it, but just to summarize what Councilor Prey said, this is kind of a discussion for the future as we're looking to put together the process. But you did write, though, nor am I responsible for corporate bonuses, and I should not be responsible for town employees. Every working person was exposed, and town employees are no different. Yes, I very much appreciate that they kept town office open, but that was their job. thank you for your comment, but to Councilor Prey's point, that is a item for discussion for future meetings, but thank you. Any other public comment? Okay, so it seems the consensus though is at least looking at the process of what the county has done for the manager to continue reaching out to the other communities to see their interest in working collaboratively, and also reviving that list that we had started earlier on. Are there any other suggestions on next steps from the council? I'm not seeing anyone because my screen is frozen, so hopefully no one's raising their hand. All right. So Mr. Manager, are you comfortable assisting in putting that together for the next get together? It should be the next off week of the council meeting. It's Thursday. It was posted online. I don't have it in front of me.
17th.
17th, thank you.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I'll have that all set up, ready to go for the next one.
Thank you. And Diana, I'll also have the document sent to you for paper copies for the town. At least the what we have so far, which is just the guidelines. And as we develop anything else, I'll send more.
Excellent. And I just did want to know, I haven't got the local paper today, but we did put out an ad for the 3 workshops to be posted. So I just want that noted here. I was hoping to pick up a paper, but I didn't allow myself enough time. So if anybody has the paper and it's in there, just let me know.
Thank you for doing that.
You're welcome.
All right. Well, with that, I guess that concludes our first workshop. Thank you, everyone, the public and for the council for coming together, and see you all at our next council meeting.
Thank you.
Have a good night.
Stay well, stay safe.